Alright, so welcome back to the title of this video. So let me show you what I've been doing. So if you watched the last video, you will see that I installed this front bumper here, and it does work very nice. I hadn't had any more problems with the belt system and the pulleys and all that. But what I have been working on here is the brakes, and you can see I got that working right there. I cut those notches out right there, and I also made it so you can have a parking brake. So, sorry I didn't film it, but I was trying to get last week's video exported. But whatever, we'll pick up right here and I'll show you what I've been doing. Now, when I built the racing lawnmower, the brake system on the off-road lawnmower that I'm fixing to show you is pretty much the exact same design as what I did on this. The only difference really is, I just made it where this fully goes back and there's a drum brake on the back. It's very familiar to this lawnmower brake system I have right here. So for better lighting, I brought the mower out here, and sorry if the audio is gonna be bad, but it is a little bit windy, but whatever, I'll show you. So we'll start right here. What I did was I cut the saw teeth thing out right here. I have it up a little bit so it's easier to grab. But anyway, that has full free range of motion right here. And I just push down the little thing, go up more, and that's like a parking brake. After adjusting it, even pulling right here still stops it pretty good, and it fully releases. Now underneath, everything is pretty much exactly the same. The steel right there, that is a little bit thin. It's only 16 gauge. On the racing mower, I use 3/16 flat bar. But anyway, it still does work fine. That right there is the original rod that hooked into the clutch up there. What I did was I cut it, shortened it, and re-welded it, and drilled a hole in there and put it back there. And back there you can see your normal brake system, and I just ran the rod right back in there and hooked it all up, and it works pretty good. The ways I have to adjust it is that bolt right there and the bolt on the rod. You also have another adjustment right here. Alright, so it kind of started to rain a little bit, so it kind of chased me back in here. But another thing I did change was the throttle. Now some of you might get a little upset and a little like, why did you do that kind of thing? But what I did was I hooked the governor back up. Now the reason for this is number one, I gotta constantly kind of self-govern it when I'm like driving off-road and stuff like that. Because when you're going, you're bouncing, doing all this stuff, and yeah, it's just kind of crazy. And the second reason is there was only about maybe that much throttle travel, which also kind of made it more difficult to drive. So with the governor hooked up, I can just hold it wide open throttle, go through a mud puddle, and not have to worry about the motor blowing up. But as you can see now, I have way more throttle travel, which is what I personally like for something like this. Now, not only does the governor regulate engine RPM, but if you start driving up a hill or pulling a load or something like that, the governor will actually compensate by opening the throttle up more to keep the engine at whatever RPM you set it at. Stock is about 3,600. Now something like this racing mower here does like 40, 50 miles an hour, aggressively pulley swapped. As you can see, yes, I want to bypass the governor, and it sounds a lot better. This twin was also running very strange with the governor. It would constantly want to keep surging and everything. So I just totally bypassed it, and it runs beautiful. So some of you are probably cool with it. Some of you will be like, I'm gonna unsubscribe because I hooked the governor back up on my lawnmower. It's my lawnmower. I'm gonna do it the way I wanna do it. Build your lawnmower the way you wanna build it. That's what makes everything fun. So what I gotta do is I gotta limit the throttle to about right here because that's the maximum RPM. If I push it all the way over like this, it actually goes down in RPM. So I gotta tune it to about right there. And the second thing we're gonna do is we're gonna bend that little thing right there up slightly and get a little bit more RPM. So this right here is a custom throttle stop, and that is what stops the pedal from going any further and ripping my cable out. thing I also did, but didn't film, is I tidied up the battery location by getting a 15-inch bungee strap and putting some bolts right there to hold this over to this side, so that way I can still get to my clutch lock. This end of the bungee cord is permanent onto here. This side, you can take the battery out, and then all you gotta do is hook it back in. So pretty much, the thing looks pretty good. I do like the olive green color because it kind of reminds me of a Willis Army Jeep from World War II. Something else we will be doing is modifying the pull starter. And don't get me wrong, yeah, it works perfectly fine. You wrap it around, pull, starting the motor. Yeah, that works. But this edge here is so sharp. I mean, it's like a knife, and I've tried dulling it out as much as I can. And if you look on my pull rope, you will see Gorilla Tape wrapped around it. And that is so that little cut right there will not cut the rope, because I've already had to retie it about 2 or 3 times. The batteries on the calipers are dead, but as you can see, that is super thin. And compared to that, that is a little bit thicker. So another modification is I got a choke right there. I got a gas pedal right there. And what I want to do is I got this little extra throttle thing here, which is for the racing mower, but I took it out because there's no use for it. So I want to mount this like right there. And the reason I want to have this is so that I can turn the idle up slightly when I'm pull starting. It'll be easier to pull start. Also, if I just want a hand throttle, I can have a manual hand throttle, and I can just set it at a high idle or something like that and just cruise around and kind of goose it when I want to. So I found this 125-pound test laying around, and it's probably my brother's. I also found this bench grinder for 20 bucks, 50% off that price. 6-inch, I did test it and it does work. It's only 1.1 amps, which is a little bit lame, but I mean, you can't like hog a piece of steel into it and expect it to grind it. But it'll be fine for what I'm gonna use it for, and 20 bucks, you can't beat that. All right, so I got that side all tied up. I'm actually gonna unbolt this and move the choke to this side because I want to have it on this side because, one, I mean, the decals obviously show it, and two, it's just more of a natural feel having it on this side, so that's probably what I'm going to do. All right, so as usual, I don't film anything, but I really could not film it because there was literally no way I could film it. But I got the choke hooked up on this side with that extreme long cable. It runs through there, under there, up through there, and boom, there it is. And as usual, it runs to right here. And of course, you can't see anything, but we have full choke and off choke. So now, let's hook up the hand throttle. All right, so finally got it done-ish. Obviously, you can't see anything. I don't have a flashlight right now, but pretty much that's tied on there, and fishing line's tied around there. You can kind of see it working. This is about a maximum as it can go, so I might put a piece of steel right here just so it will stop right here and you won't rip it out. But that's gonna do it for tonight, so I'll see y'all tomorrow. So that little test run did great. Everything was actually working very well. So in my lovely scrap bucket of steel right there, I found a couple of pieces right here. This would work pretty good. Just kind of go in there like that, and of course I can't hold that and move this at the same time, but that'll stop it about right there. I also have this piece I can bolt on right here, and it'll pretty much do the same thing. I'm thinking about this piece honestly because, one, it has more of a cleaner look, and two, it has a little thing so I can perhaps maybe put a pin or something in there. What's up, y'all? Some girls driving on a golf cart. That's great. So yeah, we're gonna do that. I hear them girls on that golf cart again. I'm not complaining, I'm just saying. Perfect. All right, so as usual, I found another piece of scrap steel to go over this, and I bent it, done a lot of testing and all that, and yeah, the rope should not break or catch on that. All right, so I got my holes drilled on both sides. So now, this little piece is just gonna slide right on in, I'll bolt it through. I also got these other little safety bits and bobs I gotta throw on there, so I'll do that sometime. All right, so I drove it around. Everything did great. It's probably ran the best as this ever ran. The throttle and all that works great. It's set at the most perfect RPM, the highest possible RPM without it, blowing up. Foot throttle works great. Choke works great. Everything else seems to work pretty good. I'm probably gonna have to get another battery because this battery is a little old and is running kind of dead. Everything shifts. The last major thing I really want to do now is just lock this rear end, but that'll be probably during the summertime. So that's gonna be all for this video, and sorry I did not film very much of me driving it around, but as I mentioned before, the storage on this phone is just absolutely horrible and it freaking sucks. I forgot how many gigabytes, but it really does suck. In another video, I will make an actual dedicated off-roading video. It's not gonna be some extreme off-roading, but off-roading is off-roading, am I right? So yeah, I hope you liked this video. If you did, click all the other buttons that YouTube would say to click. If you didn't like this video, click on thumbs down twice because 2 is better than 1. 3 more doesn't work. That does not count for likes, and y'all should see me for the next one. Dang, that didn't make any sense. Y'all should see me in the next one. There we go.